We are not professing to tell you the complete story of these activities. We are professing to tell you the complete story that we know.
A new world order.
These records...
Turkey warns Russia over Ankara attack. Turkey has warned Russia it will hold Moscow responsible for terror attacks on its own soil in the wake of a deadly car bombing in Ankara and mounting international tensions over the war in Syria. Ahmet Davutoglu, Prime Minister, said that Wednesday's suicide attack had been carried out by Salih Nakar, a member of the YPG, a Syrian Kurdish militia that the Turkish government denounces as a terrorist group. The attack killed 28 people in the capital's security district when explosives packed into a car detonated at traffic lights on a busy boulevard. But Mr. Davutoglu focused some of his toughest comments on Moscow. "I am warning Russia once more," he said in a televised statement, saying that Moscow's condemnation of the attack was insufficient. If these terror attacks continue, they will be as responsible as the YPG. Russia denies any connection with terrorist activities. Mr. Davutoglu also asked Turkey's international allies, especially the U.S., to treat the YPG, whose full name is the Syrian Kurdish People's Protection Units, as a terrorist organization rather than a partner in the Syrian war. But to date, Ankara's push for other countries to end their support for the Kurdish militia has registered little success. The YPG is backed by the U.S. and other Western countries as the most effective Syrian fighting force against ISIS. It is also tacitly backed by Russia, whose strikes against mainstream rebels in northern Syria have recently allowed the Kurdish militia to advance. The Russian military campaign on behalf of Bashar al-Assad, Syria's president, has poisoned relations between Moscow and Ankara, which sees Mr. Assad as a bitter foe and shot down a Russian aircraft on the border with Syria in November. Controversy over the role of the YPG has fueled even greater tensions. And with all this going on, people think we're in a one-world government. We're not yet. It doesn't happen until the beginning of the hour of temptation. You have to have the supernatural ingredient. Satan and his angels have to be cast out of heaven onto the earth before the one-world political system emerges at the beginning of that 5-month period. That's the woe of the 5th trumpet, and then the woe of the 6th trumpet is when Satan appears as the false Christ in the middle of that 5-month period. In the midst of the week, it says in Daniel 9:27, that's what it's talking about. It was a week of years, 7 years, but it's been shortened to a 5-month period, and we know that from Revelation chapter 9, where it speaks of the locust army, who are exclusively the fallen angels, supernatural entities and part of Daniel's 4th beast. For more information on this, as well as the war between Jacob and Esau, and you see they were twins in their mother's womb, and they were fighting even then, and then their mother asked God, "What's going on here? Why are these twins fighting in my womb? Why am I thus?" she said to God. And what did God say? 2 nations are in your womb. And they would later on become the 2 superpowers of the 20th century, Russia and the United States. That is to say, NATO and the Warsaw nations. The king of the north of Daniel 11 is Russia, heading that communistic system. The non-Christian nations and the king of the south, Jacob, are the Christian nations, symbolized by a lion in Daniel 7, and Esau, Jacob's brother, is symbolized by a bear in Daniel 7. So you've got Jacob, the king of the south, symbolized by a lion in Daniel chapter 7, the king of the south, the Christian nations, and then you have the king of the north, Esau, communism, that is to say, and the non-Christian nations is what that bear is symbolic of, communism, and the headquarters of world communism is Red Square, Moscow, to this very day. Don't let them fool you with their supposed collapse of their Soviet Union and them becoming a Christian nation. That's not what happened. Go to their website of their very parliament, their Duma, and you'll see a hammer and sickle there. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that they're still commies, and they will invade America before it's all over with at the end of that hour of temptation. That's when that happens. It's called the Battle of the Valley of Hamongog, where Russia, Iran, and Libya, various other nations. They're all listed in Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39. And that's when the true Christ returns at the end of that 5-month period, and that's when those hailstones rain down out of heaven. And why would that happen? God's making a point. They're atheistic communists, and they're going to know that there's a God, and he's going to let them know that he's God and not Satan, who's going to be there claiming to be God at that time. That's the point, and you can read of it in Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39. And for more on the 5-month-long hour of temptation, go to mark13records.com.
Just wait. Watch and learn. Just wait. Watch and learn. Just wait. Watch and learn. Just wait. Watch and learn.
Mark13records.com, Mark13news.com, biblicalresearchlabs.com, thelastRadiostation.com, the Apocalypse Post newsletter, and M13 TV. It's all assembled and distributed from our base of operations, the Mark13records.com mobile command unit. If we have helped you, and only if we have helped you, help us to help others by visiting our new Patreon page and joining the fight by taking part in spreading God's Word throughout a world of darkness. For a limited time, for any amount donation, you can request one of our custom-made study guides while supplies last. 666, the New World Order and the Antichrist, the 7 Seals of the Apocalypse, the Daniel 11 Hypothesis, or the Beginning of the End. Now, more than ever, we need to sound that trumpet and warn the deceived masses of the coming hour of temptation, that 5-month period in which Satan will appear as Antichrist. And as Christ said in the last verse of Mark chapter 13, what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch.